gosh, this wall is soft. And like,
Oh my
so
gosh.
I went and I found a different outlet, and the top part of the outlet was melted, like the first top outlet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. Thankfully,
Oh my gosh.
I got it to charge. Like, I got my detector and
You
headset to
didn't request
charge.
another room
I
at that
should have.
time, I guess.
The place, it looked packed. So, and like, a lot of
Oh.
the hotels are sold out in the area. And I'm like, well, I guess we're stuck with what we got. And
Oh my gosh.
so whatever, we go to bed because we went to the meet and greet, which was absolutely awesome. It was held outdoors, and there was a tent, and as it got dark, there was a campfire and s'mores and glow in the dark stuff and light up things. And
Love s'mores.
yeah, and I got to see a whole bunch of people that like I haven't seen in forever, and I'll get to that. I want to get over the bad hotel story, and then I'll get on to the meet and greet and hunt and everything. So Saturday mornings, first day of the dig, John and we get up super early. We know that the Dunkin' Donuts is like 2 minutes away. There's no coffee at the hotel, so we're like, let's go get coffee. Um, it really is. It's like it took us 4 minutes to basically get coffee, come back. We had left the bathroom vanity light on, and when
Hmm.
we came back, John's like, I'll be up in a minute. He wanted to get some stuff together in the car, and I'm like, okay. So I go up. My door key worked. I walk in and I hit the light switch, and I'm like, there's no light. The room is entire darkness. So I'm like shuffling with my coffee, trying to trying to find the different lights. I'm hitting this light and won't come on. Went and turned on like this light, wouldn't come on. Got to the bathroom, turned the light on, the light wouldn't come on. So I'm like, I started getting like scared that there's someone in the room. And so I'm like, oh my God, like, just freaking myself out. So
Did you have a feeling that somebody was watching you or something?
Yes. So I kind of beat it out of the
Ooh.
room, and I'm like, John, there's no power in our room, and kind of like, and he's like, what? He goes, because the entire hotel is so bright, like LED lights all on the outside, and he's like, what do you mean we have no power? I'm like, there's no power. I don't know. And so he goes in and he's trying a couple, and he's like, yeah, there's no power. And he's an electrician, so he's like,
Right.
yeah, we got to go to the front desk. And at this time, it's like 5 a.m. I'm like, I don't know if anybody here is gonna know how to. So we do. The guy at the front was nice. He's like, oh, let me go see what tripped the fuse, and I'll snap the breaker back on. And I'm like, okay. So we went back to the room, and we're standing in the room with the door open because the outside lit up
Yeah.
the room. And and they switched the breaker, and this giant flash and like boom came out of like where the vanity was, and it went back off, and then the lights it came back on after, and we're
Oh
like,
my gosh.
John's like, we're not turning that light on again. I'm like, okay. And then he's looking, he's like, I don't think these smoke detectors are on. I don't think
Or even
they don't,
on.
no, they're not working.
Oh gosh.
So it was like one thing led to another, and it was just, he took turns sleeping and I took turns sleeping. Yeah, it was bad. So
Oh my gosh.
what the hunt was epic. It was a ton of fun, and I do have to say, if you have a bad place to stay, it can really, like, what would have made the trip absolutely stellar was to have a place that like wasn't like that. But thankfully, the hunt was a ton of fun. The meet and greet, I brought my goodie bag, and
Oh yeah.
I got to give out a whole bunch of bags, and I got to meet a whole bunch of people that I hadn't, and I got to meet, Mark Hoover, and his buddy Herbert Lee, and Frederick Romano, and like it was crazy. I got to meet tons of people and see a bunch of people like FLX and Team Squeak, Team Lynch, and the Bortners, and even Jason Quarterhoarder and the gang was there, as well as Brad and Eddie. So Brad, Green Mountain Metal Detecting, was there. So it was fun to chat with him for a little bit and catch up. Um, and so, yeah, we did the meet and greet. Was awesome. By the time, I mean, we drove all day Friday, got there, and again, we weren't the drive. We were with the traffic. So we sat in traffic a little bit longer than the trip would have taken. Um, and yeah, if it weren't an awesome hunt, it would have been a bummer. But the next day, Saturday, so this place was awesome. It was really neat. There were fields to detect, there was woods, there was openings, there was sections that you could, and then more of the properties that were adjacent to it were becoming open and allowing us to be able to go dig them as well. I know that my time spent in the woods, I ended up with a 1859, so first year, not Flying Eagle, but first year Indian head, fatty Indian I got, and
Sweet,
a
sweet.
flat button. I haven't cleaned the flat buttons up yet. Um, I know that one of them looked like there was stuff on it. I'm looking at it right now. I think it's just the degradation, the buttons falling apart. So. And then I ended up with a button and then a handle to what looked like maybe a mirror or something. And it says the Waldorf Astoria Hotel Co.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Pretty neat. And then Sunday morning was the seated hunt. And it was really fun. And it was I don't know. It was like my luck. My luck digging was good. My luck with everything else just wasn't with it this weekend. So the seated hunt started, and I think from swinging the entire day before, I really put a strain on the duct tape that I used to keep my cuff together. And
Uh-huh.
so, like, within, I don't know, 10 minutes of the seated hunt, the duct tape snapped and the cuff came loose. So trying to
Oh, wow.
swing with like a cuff that wasn't really attached, it was like, so finally I'm like, all right, I'm stopping for a little bit. I'm gonna let, actually, Audra had some duct tape, so I was able to, I put it back together and was able to go back out. And when I went back out, I got a three ringer and a Mercury dime and some more things. I think I ended up with 4 or 5 buffaloes, two British coppers, a 3 cent, V nickel, couple mercs, and some Wheaties. So, and something else. And I don't know where it is. Something else. And so, I mean, for having a broken cuff, and honestly, I sat out for like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes talking to other people. Um, it did really well, but you know what made it even better was when I finally met back up with John. He had like a silver round. He had a half cent. He got, I think, he ended up with two, or he ended up with one walker, and he ended up with a key that ended up being a really nice walker, and a bunch of mercury dimes and buffalo nickels and some other stuff too. So he killed it. He killed it on the seated hunt. It was like,
That is so cool.
so that was fun to see. But yeah, so one of the times was it Sunday? So on Sunday we parked in front of Mark. So I was like, thankfully I had Ken's book with me. So I'm like, Mark, you have to sign this for me. Eventually I'm going to get everybody's signature.
Oh,
And
cool.
so he did, he signed it, and he gave John and I both a South Carolina button that he had acquired. And
Oh, how cool.
that's like one button that John and I do not have. So that was really exciting. And plus getting to talk with him and knowing we've had him on the show, it was great. It really was great. And you know who else was?
Him and his wife are the
Oh,
best.
they were
And
awesome.
Mark, speaking of Mark, before you go finish, Mark wrote my forward for my book. So that'll be in my book. coming up very, very soon. So super excited for that. Anyway, I had to
No,
say
that's
to add that about Mark. He's such a great guy.
yeah, he was. He was. You know who else I got to meet?
Ooh,
Travis, the Crick Diggers.
you did?
I did.
Oh
So
man, you lucky dog.
that was like my like between Mark and Travis, I'm like,
Yeah.
ah.
Well, you've bought a lot of bottles from him as well, haven't you?
I have. Yep. Yep, I have.
Mm.
I sure have. So that was awesome, getting to hang out with everyone and it really is so many like-minded. I mean, Teresa was there. I saw her right after.
Sweet.
She dug a 2 real and man, this thing had meat. It had
Oh
meat on it.
man.
Some of the
Oh
stuff I
man.
saw Doug was just awesome. It was awesome. Like it was
That is
just
fantastic.
so cool. It was so
So
cool.
cool. I yeah, I need to catch up with Teresa. I mean, I don't know if she's. I guess when she gets back to Texas, now it's starting to cool off again. Get back
Yeah,
to
now
the
that
text
it's
some.
cooling is good. I do have to say,
Well,
so
it's not that
this,
cool here
yeah,
yet, but
true, true.
it will be. Before we're getting there. So anyway,
Yeah. And what I forgot to say, so I know a lot of there's a lot of different events that give like proceeds and whatnot. So the way that this event worked was they were able to donate over $10,000 to the Conservation Foundation there. And what
oh,
that
that's
does,
fantastic.
it opens doors. Like it's like
Oh
having
yeah.
that historical, conservation committee like on the detectorist side to know that hey, we can raise money to save what we can save, and they can preserve, those historic places and parks and open them to the public and have these
Heck yeah.
events is just it was that in itself, I'm like, that's so cool. That's so cool.
That is amazing. That is fantastic. Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
That is cool.
And
So
I do have to say, John and I, so on the last day we had decided, so not because of the hunt, because we would have stayed. We were staying until Monday because that's what we like to do. We like to hunt an event all the way
uh-huh.
through, go back to
Right.
the hotel, stay the night at the hotel, get refreshed, and then we'll leave the next day. Well, I had looked at John in the in the fields, in what was we were actually in the wooded area, and I was like, I am. He had said something. I'm like, we could go tonight if you want. And he looked at me, he goes, really? And I was like, yeah. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes. And he's like,
You just
we
didn't
could.
want to
No, I
stay
did
another
not
night.
want to stay another night. I'm like, I don't care if we sit in traffic for 12 hours. I don't want to stay another night.
Oh my gosh.
So we had decided on definitely heading home, and we're like, all right, we're gonna keep detecting and then meet for pizza at noon and raffles and stuff like that. And there was this guy that we met that was out detecting, and he came over and when you're out in an area and you only see like one or two people, you stop. You shoot the bull and you go, hey, have you found anything? How's your weekend been? And the way that this guy talked to John and I, when John and I walked away from him, we both went, "Oh my gosh." It was just like talking to Ed Conklin, and it was like
Wow.
he even got a phone call like during it, and he's like, "Ah, he's on the phone." And it was the same way that Ed, with us, and we
Oh.
both walked away and I looked at him and John, and I went, oh my gosh, does he remind you of Ed? And he's like, yes. And I was like, even with the
Wow.
comment of it's so and so, and it was the same name and everything. And he's like, and we just laughed. We're like, it was a good, like, really good memory of like being out in
I'm
the
sure
field.
Ed was there in spirit too.
Yeah. Yep. And it was the same week that we spent with Ed last year. up in upstate New York. So it was crazy that like our last real chatting with someone